Welcome back to the Legacy Podcast. My name is Olisya Grant, co-founder of Matrix Legacy, Inc. We are back for episode number 39. This is the show where we create a blueprint for success. We look for ways to create generational wealth, and we break those chains of a poverty mindset. As usual, I have to start with the gratitude. I appreciate you guys so much. The listeners are increasing every single week. We are now in 17 different countries, which is absolutely insanity. I'm just so glad that you guys are able to find value, and I do hope and pray that you also share it, because this information was shared with me, whether I had to pay for it or whether it was just given for free. And so I just feel almost responsible to share with you what's been shared with me, in hopes that you will share it with somebody else. So I am simply just doing my part, and I pray that you do yours as well. Now, as I'm sure all of you know, New Year's is right around the corner. We are a couple weeks away, and I realize that majority of people, I think it's safe to say at least 80% of us, start mapping out our New Year's resolution around New Year's Eve. That's when we start to think about what it is that we're going to do in the upcoming year to make it better than the year that we're leaving behind. And I think the greatest mistake that we make is waiting till the new year to start on our New Year's resolution, because what has to happen is you truly have to set a foundation. It takes at least 21 days minimum to actually build a new habit. So if you want to go into 2021 with better money management skills, with certain fitness goals, with certain relationship goals, career goals, things like that, you have to start setting the foundation well before New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And I think that's the reason that so many New Year's resolutions fail. And a lot of us chalk it up to, I haven't planned that out because I'm so busy. I've got all of this stuff going on. And there's one thing that my mentor said to me, and I've shared it with you before on this podcast, is that most people are really just busy being broke. And broke doesn't just have to be financially, but we get so wrapped up in just doing busy work when there's really no wealth in any area of our life. So we're just spinning the wheels. We're busy chasing relationships that are not serving us. We're busy trying to buy things that are going to impress people who we don't actually really care about, nor do they care about us. We are busy trying to paint a narrative, paint a certain picture so that we're not judged in certain ways, but the actual activities are not necessarily income producing activities. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But the thing is, when people say I'm too busy to plan, I'm too busy to start now, it's like, what are we really busy doing? And truly, I'm very guilty of this, because there's so many times where I've said, I'm getting organized. I'm setting up, right? I'm sure at some point in time we've used one of these lines, I'm gearing up to get started. I'm researching, I'm finding myself, I'm looking into it. And none of those are creating any real results, right? And so today what I want to talk about is distinguishing the difference between busy work and real work, so that going into this new year, we have already created a foundation that we can build on. Instead of just running around like chickens with our head cut off, we actually have a direction, and we know that the actions we're taking are able to produce a real result. And so I want to leave you guys with 3 tips today. 3 tips that have truly helped me, because as I've said, I am super guilty of this, doing the busy work. I feel like if I'm not running around doing something, that I'm not being productive. However, sometimes the things I'm running around doing are just not productive at all, but it makes me feel like I'm doing something. So I've convinced myself that things are happening when really they're not. So for example, when I was first getting into investing, stock investing, Forex investing, things like that, my excuse or my busy work was that, I'm researching, I'm getting ready, I'm preparing. But I was researching and getting ready and preparing for months and months on end, to the point where my husband is like, so at any point, are you going to invest? At any point, are you going to put all of this stuff that you're learning and research into work? And I mean, that's the fact at the end of the day, because the busy work is the preparation, but the actual work is the investing. You can't read about how to swim. You actually have to jump in and swim. You can't read about how to become a better friend or how to become a better leader. Like you can collect the information, but if you're just pushing more and more information into your mind and not doing anything with it, eventually it's going to get pushed right out. And so did you even learn anything in the first place? No, because now you've got analysis paralysis. You put so much information in your head that you don't even know which way to go. You haven't even taken a single step, and you probably will never, because you know too much at this point, too many things that are not going to actually lead you into action, into activities that are really going to produce a result. I did the same thing with building my network marketing business. I kept saying, I need more training. I need to know this missing piece. I need to figure out better ways to speak to people, things like that. But the answer to figure out better ways to speak to people was really just to speak to people. So when we say I'm getting organized so that I can get things done, well, it's kind of backwards. You have to have things done in the first place in order to organize them. And so we convince ourselves that this stuff that we're doing, this fluff, this running around and putting tabs on things and sorting things out and downloading all of these fancy apps and creating all of these fancy charts, we convince ourselves that that's really producing some kind of result. But a lot of times this busy work that we're doing is usually a distraction disguised as productivity. So if we say, you know what, I'm on social media, I'm trying to build my social media presence, but you spend most of your time scrolling through Instagram instead of actually interacting with people and being social on social media, we're just keeping up with what everybody else is doing. But in our minds, I'm on social media, building my social media presence, I'm spending more time here, so I'm preparing, I'm looking for the accounts, I'm looking for the people to reach out to instead of just starting to reach out to people. And I'm really talking to myself here, so I hope somebody else catches this in the meantime. But this is really for me. There's so many little things that I feel like, or I've conditioned myself to believe that I need to do. I need more training, I need more preparation, I need more research. But it's like I'm doing all of those things to prolong the process of actually doing it. And a lot of times that comes from either a fear of not knowing what's going to happen when I actually do take the jump. So like that fear of the unknown. Or it might also be a fear of failure. I'm afraid if I do take that jump, what if it doesn't work? So these are the things that cause us to procrastinate. If you're anything like me and you constantly feel like you need to be on the go, it's almost like you can't sit still. But just because we're on the go does not mean that we're actually being productive. Doesn't mean that we are actually doing income producing activities. And so in the beginning, when I said people are busy being broke, and broke doesn't just have to be financial, well, income doesn't actually have to be financial either. So we're not only just talking about money. However, if the actions that you're taking on a day-to-day basis are not bringing any money, and they're also not adding any value to your relationships or creating new relationships for you, or they're not bettering your health or expanding your knowledge base in a way that's going to make your actual actions better, well, then none of that is income producing activity. All of that is just busy work. And so I believe there's 3 ways that, and 3 tips, and this is me sharing with myself, sharing with you, that you can identify if something is real work versus just that busy work. And so I want to share those with you quickly here, okay? So the first one is actually through tracking and recording. So I use a system called Trello. I also just use notes, like handwritten notes, and notes in my phone. And I always keep a pen and paper close to me. And what I make sure to do in the mornings is I write the things that I need to do. Not just the things that I want to do, but if my goal is I need to make X amount of dollars this month, well, what are the exact actions that are going to take me to that dollar amount? What are the exact actions that are going to make sure that I drink enough water this month, or that I'm exercising enough, or I'm making enough contacts with new prospects and maintaining the relationships that I have with old prospects, or sketching out time to make sure I'm doing personal development. You have to have a system that tracks and records only the income producing activities. So you would literally write out what it is that you need to do. I need to talk to 10 people today. I need to exercise for 30 minutes today. I need to set aside 30 minutes for personal development, whether that be reading or meditating or whatever, training, whatever that looks like today. And those are the things you need to do because those are going to produce income in your lives. Everything around that the planning, the organizing, the researching, none of that counts. We're still going to do that. I'm not saying it's not important. It absolutely is. But you're trying to create wealth in every area of your life. And so if the actions that you're taking are not producing income, then at the end of the day, you're not ever going to achieve your goal, which is to create wealth in some sense of the word. And so the point of tracking and recording is to make sure that those income producing activities are what's getting done. And the other things will fit in, but you have to have your priorities in check, or else you are never going to get to the place that you're looking to get to. And this is something to start today, not on New Year's Day, not I'm going to do better next year. You have to start now or it's not going to work. Nothing magically changes when the clock strikes midnight. You're still the same person with the same habits of the year before. And those are just going to be carried into the following year because you didn't do the work the year before to prepare yourself, to challenge yourself, to evolve into the person that you are looking to become in the coming year. So tracking and recording is something that you're going to want to put into your habits. It is a habit that you have to create, and I'm working actively to create that habit because I know I've been that person who says I can just hold it in my head. I know what needs to get done. But then next thing you know, you look up and before you blink, the day's over. And then it's the end of the week. Then it's the end of the month. Now we're looking at New Year's again. And it's like, well, how the heck did I get here? Well, it's because we weren't tracking and recording and making sure that we were doing those income producing activities. Okay. So that's tip number 1. Find something. You might be old school like me and like to write things on paper. You might also need a hybrid. I'm also a hybrid as well, where you're mixing the digital with the pen and paper. Whatever it is for you, find a way to make sure that you're tracking the income producing activities in your life. Second thing that you're going to want to do is reflect. So as you've been tracking, it's important to set aside time to actually reflect and say, well, how much income have I created with these activities? Because sometimes we think that the activities we're doing are income producing, but until we sit down and say, okay, well, how much weight have I lost? How much money did I bring in this month? Is my blood pressure down? How many collaborations did I do this month? Have I reached those certain money goals? Actually reflecting at least once a week and also once a month, quarterly, whatever you need to do, you have to set aside time to reflect and review the tracking that you're doing. Because yeah, cool, we're tracking and we're marking down what we're doing every day, but have we actually taken a moment to look back and say, well, this is what's actually working versus what's not? This no longer needs to be a priority because it's not getting me any closer to where I said I want it to be. So it's really important to spend that time of review and reflection and make sure that we are on track to doing the things that we say we need to do. And then the third one is accountability. Having a check-in partner is so useful because it's very easy to break promises to ourselves. And that's why a lot of the things that I do, I announce it. When I'm sure of what I want to do, I announce it immediately because then there's no retreat. I'm very big on integrity and staying true to the things that we say. So if I say out loud to multiple people, I'm going to release a podcast episode every week. I'm going to do 52 episodes. I'm going to reach the top position in my company. I'm going to launch this new program, whatever it is. If I say it, now I have people to hold me accountable. So even if it's not a one-to-one accountability partner, I've put the word out there and somebody heard it, which therefore means that I need to now show up. Because if I don't show up on this, something I said for myself, how can people ever trust me if I can't even trust my own word? I can't even do the things that I said I was going to do for myself. How can anybody ever trust me to do anything or uphold my side for them? And so creating those support groups where it's actually support and everybody's coming forward and saying, this is what I've got, here's what I've done, here's what I'm planning to do going forward. Finding one or two or a group of people who are on that same frequency as you, who say we've got things to do and places to be, so we don't have time for this busy work because we really got to get to work and get these things done. That is going to help you along your journey. So that is tip number 3. So the first one was tracking and recording. Second one was reflecting and reviewing. And then the third one was having an accountability partner or partners in order to distinguish and make sure that we're doing real work and not just busy work. So that is all I've got for the day, guys. Again, this one was really me talking to myself because I get caught up in the busy work sometimes. And so it's important to slow your roll and say, well, what what income am I receiving? What is the outcome of the actions that I'm putting in? Because whatever I'm putting in is what I'm going to get out of it. And so I need to make sure I'm putting in the right things so that I receive the right things. And so I wanted to share that because I know that I cannot be the only one who fills my time up with just activity because I want to feel productive. But then you look back and realize that you weren't actually productive. And this point specifically is very important now in this time because we are walking right into 2021. It's a brand new year. It's a clean slate. However, you're going to bring all your dirty, old, stale, stinking habits into 2021 if you don't start building a new, clean foundation today. Not tomorrow, not New Year's Eve, not New Year's Day. If you want to have the best year of your life, you start building it today. All right? So that's all I've got for the day, guys. I truly, truly hope this helps somebody. If it did, go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, leave a review, send this to a friend. That is one of the most incredible things that you could do is share. If this information is helping you, is to share it with somebody who you love or share it with somebody who you know needs to hear it. So in order to keep up with all of our Matrix Legacy Inc. content, you can download the Matrix Legacy app. I will be here next week with another building block for success. Until next time, let's build a legacy.